Hello. So I guess we're going to continue our discussion from yesterday just a little bit. There was a rejoinder, of course, by Right to Record, because he is Right to Record, and that's what he does, is he rejoins. Doesn't matter how bad you whoop him on a point, he'll switch and talk about a different point. So now we are talking about, apparently, whether or not citizens are the state, whether or not the people are the state. And that's a really complicated question. You can go back to the days of kings, and the king was the state. L'état, c'est moi. Or something along those lines. Nowadays, though, with our much more complicated systems of government, it is more difficult to delineate exactly who or what is the state. I will say that the people comprise a portion of the state in a republic. After all, it's the people who vote for the people who make the decisions. But that doesn't mean that the people are the state. And we could do a little thought experiment to kind of figure it out. Let's say that New York and Rhode Island agree that Rhode Island is the best place to be, and that it is unfair that New Yorkers don't get opportunities to live as Rhode Islanders. So they devise a system, and everybody in Rhode Island draws straws, and the shortest straws are out that year, and on and on and on until in the 10th year the last group of Rhode Islanders leaves. And also in the first year, New York will do a drawing for 100,000 New Yorkers to go to Rhode Island and take up residence there and live there for 10 years. So, and then the next year, New York would do the same thing. And essentially the million people in Rhode Island would be cycled every 10 years. Every 10 years, it would be a whole brand new million people living in the state of Rhode Island. And there's only a million people in the state of Rhode Island, so I'm actually talking about a complete turnover of that state's population. At what point, how many years into this little experiment, would Rhode Island cease to be Rhode Island? When would it become New York? Of course, the answer to that question is never. It doesn't. That's not how we determine what a state is. So it's not the people. We can rule that out. The people might play a portion of it. They might comprise a piece of that. I mean, like, you could say, well, what if we remove the judiciary from Rhode Island? Would Rhode Island still be Rhode Island? And the answer to that is yes. So the judiciary is a piece. And it goes on and on until you figure out, what piece you can't remove. But then is it just that piece that comprises the state, or is it the whole thing? And that's, political scientists are still fighting over that. No one has an agreed upon definition of what a polity is, of what a state is. So I hope that answers his point. No, it doesn't. It's not drawn from any of the constitutional documents on what comprises a particular state. The U.S. Constitution says that the states have certain rights, but it doesn't say, and it says that they have to be republics, but it doesn't really say anything about what the fundamental defining feature of those states are. A second point was raised by Eric the Fatigued. His question was, what justifies the state charging rent on those RV units? And well, that's justifies is a funky word. The state has the power to, but I will make an attempt to justify it. I don't believe the state has to, but I will make an attempt to justify it. And my justification goes as follows. Number one, there is a limited number of those particular RV parking spaces available. And so to determine who gets to use those, they needed a functional system to determine who gets to use them when. So there was already going to be a reservation system. That cuts squabbles, that gives people peace of mind to know when they're packing up their RV to head out, they will actually have a place to go and relax and enjoy. And it will also keep people from just living there. And that is an issue. Despite what Eric Brandt might have to say, that's a terrible issue, and it causes severe problems in a society. The next part of the justification is the cost. It costs to have an appointment system. First of all, it costs to have the RV parking spaces. It is not free to put down pavement, and it is also not free to maintain that pavement, reseal it, repave it, etc. Additionally, there are garbage services, either garbage cans or litter pickup. There's the cost to patrol it, and there's again the cost to schedule, manage the appointments, and take payments. There are costs involved with it. And perhaps finally, it's not just Californians who get to use that little piece of California. People from all over the nation and all over the world can rent an RV and go there. Or if they have an RV that they could drive there and take advantage of that spot. And their use of the spot costs California money. So California should recoup some of that money for its citizens. We shouldn't be bearing the costs of other people taking advantage of our natural resources. So there's my justification for it. You may disagree, and that's fine. But ultimately, there doesn't have to be a justification for it. The state just has to have the power to do it. And the state obviously has the power to charge rent for the use of those spaces. Just like the state charges essentially rent for the use of any property in the state. You own a house, you're paying tax on that house to the county, to the state, to whoever. So, there's state charges everybody rent. Anyway, alright. If you disagree with it, great. Leave me a comment. If you don't, great. Leave me a comment. If you want to call me a poopy head, great. Leave me a comment. I don't really care. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.